how fast is a Shelby GT350? Well, on today's show, we're going to answer that very question. So let's get started. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Dom from Formal Debut here. Welcome to this episode of Sunday Drives. And today we're going to be talking about how fast is the Shelby actually. Now, there's a lot of talk about the performance of the Shelby. We're going to talk about some specs, and we're just going to go into the actual performance aspect of this car specifically. So we're going to be doing some spirited driving today. I'm going to try to not get us in any trouble. So first, let's go over some numbers. Now, these are the published numbers by Ford and by Motor Trend. Those are the sources that I found. So when we're talking about this car, we're looking at, as far as the powertrain, it is a 5.2 liter flat plane crank V8. It produces 526 horsepower and 429 foot-pounds of torque. And what's really, really impressive about this engine specifically is that it has an 8,250 RPM redline due to that flat plane crank. And that is really where everyone gets really excited about this car, is that super, super high redline and the performance that offers you. That 5.2 liter is mated to a 6-speed manual transmission, which is the only transmission available. 0 to 60 in about 4 to 4.2 seconds, and a quarter mile of about 12.3 seconds at 117 miles an hour. And I wanted to talk first about the handling. This kind of brings me into the topic of what is the point of this car? And I think a lot of people get this kind of wrong. A lot of the criticism for this car, even when it came out and still today, it's really not that much faster than a Mustang GT. Now, I know that my GT, my S650, was pretty close to this car in terms of its quarter mile time and its 0 to 60. So it's really not all that much faster, and it was a lot of money back in the day for that upgrade. And I think people who criticize the GT350 for that are kind of missing the point. The point of this car was to be built as proof that an American car can actually attack a circuit. And I think they did a fantastic job with that. Most of the R&D that went into this car, other than that fantastic engine, didn't go into making this car into a Hellcat or a straight line only monster with tons and tons of horsepower. The idea of this car was to make a very dynamic, nimble, a circuit car that could go around a corner. And if you look at it from that aspect, they did an incredibly good job. It has absolutely scalpel levels of precision around corners. If you're on the MagneRide suspension, depending on what mode you're in, it can go from soft, comfortable daily cruiser to track mode, where you feel every bump in the road. It is very, very connected to the road, and it's very, very precise. You also have very, very good precision when it comes to the clutch and then when it comes to the shifter. This is an actual Tremec 6-speed manual instead of the MT82 that you find in the GT. And the feel from the gearbox is absolutely insane. It is incredibly direct. It's very notchy, and it feels very good and gives you very good feedback when you want to actually shift it into another gear. The engine is very, very responsive. The throttle response is incredibly good due to it being a naturally aspirated car. And let's be very clear about this. It was not built for straight line speed. However, it is incredibly fast in a straight line. Now, one thing I have noticed about this car is, unlike something like a Hellcat or a car with an LS, something with higher levels of displacement, it is kind of low on torque compared to cars like that, and your low-end torque is virtually non-existent. I mean, it can get up and go okay. It's not terrible. Really, all of your torque and all of your performance is over 4,000 RPM. And like I said, this car does rev out to a staggering 8,250 RPM. It is absolutely brutal in the corners. The G-forces that it produces are staggering. It is absolutely fantastic. You also really feel like you're driving this car and that it's not driving you, or that it's not doing anything for you. You feel very connected to the road. Every little flick of the steering wheel, every little movement that you make with this car has an immediate and direct response from the car itself. So I'm gonna let you guys listen to this insane 8,200 RPM red line that this car has. Absolutely brutal. And in second gear, doing that, it doesn't tend to break traction really at all. It does a really good job of staying very planted. And unlike something like a Hellcat, which I have driven before, I've driven plenty of Hellcats. With a Hellcat, be it a Charger or a Challenger, you really get this feeling that you're floating above the road and that it could kind of lose, break traction on you at any time. This car, with the suspension the way it is, keeps everything very, very tight. So that's all I really wanted to talk about today. Is I just wanted to talk a little bit about the performance of this car, kind of dig into how fast really is a Shelby GT350 if you've never been in one before. It is incredibly fast, it's incredibly dynamic, it's incredibly exciting and fun to drive. That's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Any questions or comments you might have about it, please leave it in the comments. So if you like this video, go down and hit the like button, hit the share button, and tell your friends. If you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a new video. If you're looking for car detailing products and tools, head down to the description where there'll be a link to Formal Debut Shop at formaldebushop.com. Pick up anything you might need over there. And as always, for Formal Debut Detailing, my name is Dom, and I'll see you guys on the next one.